and welcome back to the conclusion, yes, finally, of Ask the King for March 2016. It's been one of my longest episodes ever, 4 parts. This is part 4. I urge you to watch the first 3 parts if you haven't yet. But let's get right into it because I'd like to conclude and answer everyone's questions here. So let's go. All right. From Bioptic Stream, the next question is, Phil, how have you gone about losing so much weight the past few years? I see the fast food and DSP tries it, and I can't imagine being able to lose weight eating those things. I'm a big guy myself who's trying to lose weight, and I'd value your advice if I noticed your progress in your videos. It's funny because I get that kind of feedback all the time. If Phil eats fast food all the time on DSP tries it, how does he lose weight? You do realize that there's only 2 times at most in a week when I eat out. Once if we go out for DSP tries it, and once I go out to dinner with my girlfriend on a Saturday. And that's kind of our date night, okay? Every other day, 5 other days, we're eating home-cooked meals, mostly lean meats or chicken or, some kind of something that's really not unhealthy or high fat or anything for you. Vegetables, breads, we have like little croissants that we make, or, mixed vegetables like carrots or broccoli or cauliflower. We also like corn, that kind of stuff that we integrate into our meals. And veggie pasta is a big one. Veggie pasta, you make a pasta dish with either zucchini or peppers or tomatoes or that kind of stuff, right? Or even, instead of making hamburgers at home, you can make chicken burgers where they actually make patties out of chicken meat. Or turkey burgers, we've done that. Even sometimes they have like low-fat pork burgers and stuff like that. That kind of stuff. That's what we eat on normal days. So when you see DSP tries it once a week, there's a reason why it's only once a week. Because I don't eat that every day. You know what I mean? Those are kind of almost cheat days when you think about it. Those are the days when I'm going out of my way to maybe eat something unhealthy and review it for DSP tries it. Even when we go out to eat now, half the time at least, I'm trying to stay away from things like red meat or fatty foods. I usually try to get either the chicken or something like that when we go out. Last year I had some health issues, and I have to stay away from red meat all the time and seafood all the time and stuff like that. And the good news is, by the way, long time now, I haven't had any issues with that. So I don't think it's going to come back because I've changed my lifestyle enough to the point where, I'm not eating the bad stuff all the time anymore. So it's really just simple diet and lifestyle changes. When I lived in Connecticut years ago, when I first started on YouTube, all right, my eating habits were terrible. In the morning, I would wake up and make one of those microwave sandwiches with like cheese and meat and greasy shit, right, and wolf that down. I'd go to work, I'd be drinking cups of coffee all day. Terrible for you to do that. Then at lunch, I'd go out and I'd either have a big sandwich that I made, or I'd go out to a deli, I'd get a big fucking sandwich at the deli and wolf that down. Then for dinner, I'd either go out and get fast food, or I'd come home and make something unhealthy. So it was like, all this just piles on top, piles and piles and piles. When I was living in Connecticut, at the condo, but I wasn't at the office job anymore, and I was doing YouTube exclusively, I would eat fast food all the time. Almost every meal I would go out. Now, I would try to vary it. I would try to get veggie burgers and chicken and stuff like that. But fast food is fast food. It's not great for your body, all right? So, since I moved here a year and a half ago, my diet has been much better. I mean, overall, insanely healthy compared to what I used to do. And yeah, I mean, I'm not super skinny, but I wouldn't consider myself fat. I'm kind of in the middle. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with my weight right now, where I'm not having any issues with my back or whatever because of my weight. So it's just very simple, diet changes have allowed me to lose a ton of weight over the years. Okay. Next question. This one is from Sakura Kitty. And he or she asks, "Hey Phil, I'm going to be moving from one side of the United States to the other, probably around the summertime. Do you have any tips or recommendations for packing up and moving? The biggest question I have is the moving company. How did you decide on which one was the best one to use? It'll be very much appreciated if you can answer these questions for me since you've been through this process already." It's a great question because no matter what, if you're moving from one side of the country to the other, it's incredibly expensive and it's dangerous. It's risky, okay? Because this company is going to have your shit in a van, and they do it different ways. Some companies will actually do a dedicated van, meaning once the stuff's in the van, that's your stuff, okay? And it's going to be your van. It's dedicated to you. To do that is usually very expensive. Most of the time, you're going to have to get like a shared van where they pack it in with 3-4 different people's stuff. they bring it, across the country to a warehouse where it's stored, and then eventually they divvy that out to another truck that comes and delivers it to your new home. The one that I did was kind of a hybrid. It was a cross-country van, and I think it had 2 family stuff in it, but it didn't go to like a warehouse and sit there for an extended period of time. Instead, it was relatively quickly delivered to our home. And I could tell this stuff hadn't been moved, because you could see when it was in the truck, it was the same truck that had left from Connecticut. And the stuff was in the same position, the same wrappings and everything that they had done when the stuff was packed in there. It was still there. Now, some moving companies will give you boxes, will give you wrapping materials, will literally give you everything, and it's included in the price. Some companies will charge you extra. That's a catch-22. You have to look for that to make sure that you're not going to get hit with secret charges later. Some moving companies will come and do an estimate, okay? And based off their estimate, that's what they're going to charge you. Other moving companies will say, well, it's going to be based on what actually happens when we actually take this stuff out of here. So in the case of my moving company, they came and did an estimate, but then it ended up that the stuff was way more than that. And that's their fault, but it kind of fell on me. You can always look at online ratings, right? Online business bureaus and stuff. Definitely you got to look. There's another thing here, another risk. There are more smaller companies that are like more small businesses versus companies that are these giant chains. And either side has, strengths and weaknesses. The small business may be cheaper, but may not be as dependable, while the big company may be more expensive, but if they fuck your stuff up, you have someone you could go after for monetary damages because it's a big company, so obviously you could sue them, and you can get your money. So, there's a lot of factors to weigh and balance. I just remember, it was a nightmare because there were so many different companies, and no one could really definitively say, this company's better, this company's worse. And then ultimately, the company that I went with, yes, everything got here in one piece. Everything got here relatively quickly, although not as quickly as they had promised. They had promised it was going to be a certain time period, and ended up being like a week later than what they originally had said. So they were full of shit with their initial estimates. But everything got here in one piece. Nothing showed up damaged or whatever. So in that regards, that's good. But this company basically outsourced. So they hired like contractors to come and do work. So they hired these 2 guys to unload the stuff. That was another factor. Are they going to actually come and pick everything up themselves and load it into the truck and then unload the stuff into your house? Or do you have to do that and they just move the van? Some companies just move the van. Okay? They hired 2 guys to unload all the stuff in my house, which they did a great job of. But it was also supposed to include assembly of furniture that was disassembled for the move, including my bed frame. The guys that they hired, right, were not contracted for that. They were just there to move stuff. So they're like, oh, now you want me to fucking build the bed for free. You didn't pay us for that. And the guy goes, oh, well, I'll do it. The driver of the truck, driver has no tools, so he can't do it. So it was a big nightmare. They finally convinced the guys, to build the bed or whatever. It was basically a labor dispute happening in front of my house. Really ridiculous. And the thing is, that's it. I don't think that first of all, I don't think that coast-to-coast kind of moves happen so often that the process has been fleshed out to not have any bumps. I think no matter what, if you're making that kind of large-scale move, you're going to have issues, okay? If you have unlimited funds, then you could probably spend an insane amount of money to get the highest-rated guys, and they'll do it in a certain amount of time. The problem is, not everyone has unlimited funds for a move. I certainly didn't. Although I ended up paying a ton of money for what they did. I ended up paying a shitload of money, but hopefully, at least some of the things I mentioned will give you some hints. So when you're actually looking for your own movers, you can maybe find someone that is best fit for you. Okay. All right. Next question. From Ano Rub. He says, do you believe that mobile gaming, for example, on your smartphone, which I have right here. I pulled something. I don't know what the fuck I pulled. But mobile gaming is going to kill handheld gaming like on the Nintendo 3DS and the PlayStation Vita in the next few years. I think it already has. I'm not even kidding you. I think it already has. I barely ever hear about any major games being released on Nintendo 3DS anymore. The Vita's pretty much dead. I mean, let's face it. What's being released for the PlayStation Vita? Fucking jack shit. They've literally turned it. It's just a remote for your PS4 now, right? Remote play. That's it. And the 3DS, I think, is on the way out. And I think this might honestly be the last wave of mobile gaming for serious console makers, because this has now become so prevalent. Everyone has a smartphone. Lots of people have tablets and or other mobile devices now, and you get games on here that are low cost development, high profit, because they're free to play. Click, 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 tap the screen. Don't require skill to play, but then you dump tons of money into them and you win, right? And that's what it is. It's not for the hardcore gamer like you and me who are looking for a full-fledged, story-based, tons of gameplay experience. Those games are for another audience, and I think that's kind of taken over. Now, there is a market for people like you and me who are hardcore gamers who want serious games on a handheld, but I think it's going away because this has become so popular that all that's going to happen is people are going to start porting games to this rather than worrying on a dedicated handheld device. I think it's going to be gone by the wayside in the next 20 years, in my opinion. That's just my take. All right. Next question is one a lot of people are waiting for. From Christian Osborne, 1996. Christian says, Phil, I just finished watching the trailer for the new Ghostbusters movie, which I will now call a sequel. Will there be a Phil Reacts about the trailer? Well, I saw the trailer this morning. I tweeted a bunch about it. What I will do right now is give you my thoughts on the trailer. Okay, first of all, it is a sequel. I don't care that they're calling it Ghostbusters. That's a cop-out. It is Ghostbusters 3, because if you actually watch the trailer, they're saying it's a sequel. In the lore of the movie, the Ghostbusters existed in the 1980s and 90s, and this is supposed to be, 20, 30 years later, and ghosts have come back to New York City, and this is a new group of paranormal investigators who are now going to seek out to try to stop these ghosts, okay? It's a sequel. That's not a reboot. That's a sequel. So calling it Ghostbusters, all they're trying to do is buy into the name, because they know if they call it Ghostbusters 3, and a ton of the original people who were in it aren't in it, people are going to be pissed. So they're just calling it Ghostbusters again, completely misnaming it. It's not a reboot. It's actually a sequel. It really is Ghostbusters 3. So, out of what I saw on the trailer, let's see. I saw vomiting. I saw a joke about wearing a funny hat. Saw a joke about slapstick comedy. Someone actually said that's going to leave a mark. One of the most cliche possible things you could ever fucking say if you're trying to be funny. And it's not funny. That's something that, you would say in, a really PG-rated TV show, sitcom, or a cartoon for little kids. On the flip side of that, the positives I saw, I really enjoyed seeing at least the idea of Ghostbusters in a modern setting. I liked that a lot. It certainly looks like they sunk a ton of money into the movie. At the same time, it's hilarious, because I already talked about this earlier on this episode of Ask the King. Why did the ghosts in the original Ghostbusters movies look better than the ghosts in this one? The ghosts in this movie look like cheap CGI, which is probably what they're going for here, rather than actually putting any fucking effort into creature effects and making them look good like they did in the original movies. But I didn't laugh. Not once during the entirety of the trailer did I even snicker, okay? If anything, I thought at the very first scene of the trailer shows these four women, I guess it's supposed to be a library, and I guess it's supposed to be a ghost in a library, like the ghost in the library, the first scene of the original Ghostbusters movie. Oh, let's talk to the ghost. And they try to talk to the ghost, and the ghost vomits on, what's her name? Kristen Wiig. And then the follow-up joke to that is, oh, that stuff just gets everywhere, and every crack, it's really hard to get out. The most I can tell you is this. I saw the movie Bridesmaids. I didn't laugh at that movie either, because I don't think that's the kind of humor that's catered towards someone like me. I think that's a very specific demographic, if you know what I mean. A certain sex, a certain age range, and it was very successful for that range. But I'm not the target audience, all right? So now what you're doing, you're taking something that already is an established franchise that was incredibly popular, big nostalgia factor for a lot of people here, and you're taking that franchise and you're forcefully taking what that franchise was and you're wedging in your agenda of demographic. This is our kind of humor that we want to wedge into this movie, right? And a lot of people are saying it. Wow, that trailer for Bridesmaids 2 was pretty good, but what's up with all the ghosts in it? Yeah, Because that's literally what it looks like from the trailer. It looks like what they've done. They took the plot line from Ghostbusters, right? And all that nostalgia and all. Even the car they're driving around is a fucking hearse, which is, in the original Ghostbusters, it was supposed to be a converted hearse that was kind of like a fire car for fire, like a fire deputy or whatever. It's just like it's almost the same plot, completely rebooted. It is the same plot of the original Ghostbusters. 4 unlikely people, a few of them know each other, one of them isn't, an outsider and isn't really a scientist, and joins them, and there's going to be that kind of a rapport between the characters, but then the humor is written for another demographic, not the core demographic of what Ghostbusters was. Ghostbusters was a movie that in the 1980s and Ghostbusters 2 was early 90s, appealed to a wide audience of people, because you had 3 guys who were already incredibly successful comics put into a movie that had an interesting comedic idea, but also a supernatural kind of horror thing. So Ghostbusters broke boundaries. It was a comedy, it was a horror movie, it had popular people in it, so it had celebrity attraction factor, okay? And it was a movie for a wide group of audiences. Anyone could watch Ghostbusters and laugh because it had a wide variety of stuff in it. It appealed. You had the Winston Zeddemore character that was so different from the other 3 Ghostbusters. So even if these nerdy types and the suave, trying to be the Casanova type didn't appeal to you, probably Winston did, okay? In Ghostbusters reboot, if you don't like that style of almost, heavy feminist, feminine, female comedy, you're going to hate the fucking movie, apparently. So I don't know what they're doing here. What they're doing is you're going to have a large group of people who liked the original franchise are all going to go to this movie and say, what the fuck did I just see? Because nothing was funny. All right? Now, I'm not saying there's not an audience. I do think that there's an audience for that style of comedy. Bridesmaids was an incredibly funny movie, and let's face it, people like Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig keep getting movies, and the movies are popular. They're making money, right? So obviously there's an audience. I'm not that audience. And now you've taken something from my childhood that I hold near and dear to me, and you've transformed it to become your own fucking agenda of a movie, right? How all the feminists and SJWs are up in arms about this movie, that this movie is the movie that will change everything. It's the ultimate feminist movie because now women are in the same position of power as the men were in the 19... That's not what the fucking movie's supposed to be about. No, it's supposed to be about comedy. And there's none in it that appeals to a large group of people who would have seen this fucking movie. Right now, at least as this morning, the trailer on YouTube has 21,000 likes and 29,000 dislikes. And probably by now, by the time I'm filming this, even more of a dichotomy there. So, to me, what I'm seeing is they wanted to make another movie that has the kind of style of comedy and writing as Bridesmaids. They knew that it would be popular, but they wanted to make a lot of money. They wanted to make a ton of money on it. So what do? Let's take a fucking franchise from the past, right? And let's combine it. How about this? If you want to have a movie with an agenda, make your own fucking movie. Write your own fucking movie. You did it with Bridesmaids, you could do it again. Don't take something from the past that already has an identity, a cultural identity for millions of people around the world, and transform it into your own fucking shit. We don't need that shit, alright? So some rich-ass fucking feminist person decides to transform Ghostbusters and turn it into their own fucking agenda bullshit. I don't know. At least from the trailer. Now, I could be completely wrong, because here's the thing. I've seen movie trailers that are completely not a representation of what the movie is, right? I've seen movie trailers that it's awful. Like, a perfect example of this. The original Ted movie. I hated the movie trailer for that movie. Then when I actually saw it, I loved it. I laughed my ass off watching the original Ted movie. So sometimes these movie trailers are very bad representations of the final film. Maybe they just took every fucking unfunny thing and combined it into the movie. Into the movie trailer. So I could be wrong and I could be proved wrong. But if I'm not laughing at fucking Ghostbusters, a franchise that I love, that I grew up with, and that I think is some of the best example of comedy ever, that's a fucking problem. Alright? So, I get the feeling that if this movie is what I think it is, and what it looks like it is from the trailer, it's not going to do very well like they think it is. You're going to have a bunch of feminists who run to the fucking movies because it's for women now, and oh, it's the same comedy of Bridesmaids, this is great, and everyone else is going to say, this movie sucks shit. You ruined the franchise because you made it about an agenda rather than about comedy. Because it's not funny. The shit was not funny. Slapstick comedy, slapping someone in the face like this, oh, that's gonna leave a mark. What the fuck? When did you have any cliche shit like that in the original Ghostbusters? Name one moment of insanely cliche shit in the original Ghostbusters, right? And maybe I'll take everything I just said back, but when you have lines like that, fuck that. Like, that just shows you're a hack. Whatever. I think most of us knew not to expect much about that anyway. Okay, so anyway, I digress. Let's keep going. All right, we have one final question from the forums, and then we're going to head on to Twitter and Facebook. There's not very many of those this time, so we're almost done. From Ren Jesse James, he says, Phil, I've recently gotten a job a few years ago at a business called Round Table Pizza, which without a doubt is the best pizza chain on the West Coast. I don't mean overall the best pizza, but when you're talking about chains, it probably is the best one, but the quality of pizza is obviously going to vary from store to store and from employee to employee. Could you ever do a DSP tries it on it? I'm curious to how it stacks up against East Coast pizza since I'll probably never go there. According to the internet, there's a few in Seattle, but it's fairly expensive, at least in the San Francisco Bay Area where I am. And then he goes on to say that he would maybe offer me like a gift card or whatever in order to go there. Wow, funny he says this. There's a Round Table Pizza 2 blocks away from where we live. I'm not even kidding. I take that back. It's not 2 blocks away. It's about a mile away. It's down. There's a hill that we have, and down at the bottom of the hill, there's a Round Table Pizza. We have not eaten there. The reason we have not eaten there, I'll be honest, it doesn't even look much like a big restaurant that you would want to go and get pizza from. It looks more like a takeout place that just constantly makes pizzas and people deliver them. We haven't gotten them. We even have coupons for it. And so maybe now this is intriguing that you say that it's actually, because we didn't know if it was a big chain or not. We had no idea. Now that you're telling me that it's a big chain on the West Coast, maybe we should do it. Maybe there should be an upcoming DSP tries it. We'll get Round Table Pizza, and I'll review it and let you know how it stacks up to East Coast classic. It's real pizza made by Italians back home versus what they've got out here. This is really like one of the last ones we haven't tried. We've tried all other places out here, and none of them even come close to East Coast pizza. So thanks for the suggestion, and I'll probably will be doing that in an upcoming DSP Tries It. All right, the quick questions from Twitter and Facebook. First from One Monkey Spy. He says, how come you don't show any love for games on the Wii U anymore? It's not that I don't show love for games on the Wii U. There's no games on the Wii U to play, and when one comes out, it's like Xenoblade Chronicles X, which comes out in fucking December, the hardcore gaming season, and I don't have time to play a super long, drawn-out JRPG. You know what I mean? Like, I've been playing the first-party Nintendo titles, but when you look, what came out last year for the Wii U? Mario Maker, and what was the fucking other one that I played? I can't even remember. I think there were 2 games that came out on Wii U last year that were notable releases that I'd be interested in playing. Tomorrow, incidentally, I'm playing The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD on the Wii U. So there will be lots of Wii U gameplay in the next week or two as I play through Zelda. But outside of that, what else is coming out on Wii U this year besides Pokken Tournament in March, right? Okay, Star Fox. Star Fox Zero actually comes out in April. And then I don't think there's anything for the rest of the year. So we'll get some Wii U goodness for the next 3 months, and then that's it. Then it's back to being the paperweight that it is over here in my entertainment center. I can't make the games. I just play them. Okay. Next question. This one is from Flacco Bay, or is it? Yeah, Flacco Bay. He says, when 8-person battle lounges are introduced to Street Fighter V, will you consider doing monthly or bi-monthly viewer patron battles? Possibly. I already answered this question earlier. I want to do the online battles of Street Fighter V with people. The whole intention was that I was going to do one of those lobbies launch week. They don't work. Right now, I have no real confidence that Capcom will actually release this stuff when they said. They claim online lobbies, challenge/trials mode, and boss battle mode are all going to be released in March. I don't believe that at all. I think you'll see them maybe April, maybe May. You'll start to trickling out because they can't even get their servers to work consistently. So how are they going to fucking work on that? And everything, I mean, let's be honest, everything we've seen shows that they're only focusing on the competitive side of the game. So now that the game is out, they don't give a fuck about that stuff. That stuff, if they get to it, they'll do it. But I don't think there's any kind of a rush or any kind of urgency on their part to get that shit out. I could be completely wrong, and next week it'll all be out. But I'm just saying, with the track record they have right now, I'm not too confident. Next question from Dark Zero Knight. He says, I've been having a hard time on choosing between Astro A50s or Elite 800 Turtle Beach headphones. Which of these two do you like the most? Well, I can tell you this. I don't have either. What you're talking about are actually modernized versions of the ones that I have. I used an older version of the Turtle Beach ones, and I have Astro A40s, which is the wired version of the ones he's talking about. A50s are the wireless ones. I have used the Astro A40s for almost 3 fucking years now. I never had a problem with them. Besides, I have to tell you, this is the tuner, because it comes with a little tuner. Sometimes there's issues where one ear's volume is higher than the other, but if you just mess with the tuner a little bit, it fixes it. I've never had a problem with it outside of that. They work with every console flawlessly. Microphone works with every console besides Xbox One, because it doesn't work with Xbox One. You have to buy special shit for Xbox One because Microsoft's a bunch of fucking assholes. They're lightweight. The only thing you have to do when you're using these, because here they are, you have to be careful because it is just kind of thin plastic. But as long as you're careful with your stuff like I am, I never had an issue. I've been using it for years and years. The thing has not cracked, has not worn. You know what I mean? It's still 100% functional. So I'm sorry, I got to go with these. And the reason being my Turtle Beach, after using them for just a few months, broke. One of the headphones broke. And in their defense, they did provide me with a replacement set of headphones, which I never use because I know they're probably going to break again in another few months. And actually, that's a huge problem with Turtle Beach headphones. People seem to complain that one headphone always seems to go out on them if you use them all the time. So that's just based on my experience. Next question is from, hold on, Callan Anthony Britton. Will you be playing The Division? I have now officially decided I will not. I thought about it all week, and I said, you know what? Between the fact that I'm going to be heavily playing Zelda, between the fact that I want to play at least some Street Fighter this coming week, I don't think there's going to be time for me to squeeze The Division in. And even if I did, which would delay Zelda significantly, okay, from everything people have told me about this game, it doesn't seem to me like it's the kind of game that's going to be super appealing to my viewing audience or that I could do anything interesting in. It's always online. The appeal is that there's supposed to be people who are your friends who you could drop in and drop out of your game at any time as you're playing it. There is supposed to be like a single-player world, but primarily the focus of the game is going into the multiplayer. It seems to me it's going to be another game where if you have a group of friends and you play it regularly, it could be great, but if you don't and you're playing it solo, the game's probably going to be a far inferior experience. And I'll be honest, I've done that in the past. I've played games such as Borderlands solo, but I don't think I should. I really don't think that if I got this game that it would appeal to too many people who watch my stuff. And I don't think that it's anything that I'm going to be like, oh man, I missed out on such a great game. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be like that at all. I think it's going to be the polar opposite. Man, I wish I had skipped it so I could have focused in on Zelda and played some Street Fighter and not got caught up in too many games, you know? Especially with Hitman coming out later that week, UFC and MLB the week after. I don't want to get caught up in 3 games and have one that I can't finish. Oh yeah, plus Patron's Choice I have to do in March as well. So, you see my point? I think I'm going to skip it. And then, let's see here. 2 more questions. From Racy Fam. Actually, I think it might have been Gracie and I didn't copy the whole name. Sorry. As an avid concert goer, I've always wondered if you've ever been to a concert. One concert, well, let me take this back. One official concert where you buy tickets and everything ahead of time. Dave Matthews Band. And the only reason I went is because my friend had extra tickets. We went, and it was terrible. Couldn't hear the band at all. And the fucking entire stadium, because it was in the stadium, smelled like pot, because there was a bunch of fucking hippie potheads there. And rather than there to listen to the music, they were there to smoke pot and get high. And it was a terrible experience, and I never went to an official concert again. Now, I've attended concerts that were at events, like when I went to MagFest. They had several concerts there that I absolutely loved. So that kind of stuff I've done, but the only real concert I've been to was that Dave Matthews Band, and it sucked shit. Final question from Sean McGregor. Are you, like me, not surprised that this year's WrestleMania is not sold out? Also, will you stop watching again if that whole weekend, including NXT, WrestleMania, and the Raw the next night, is a complete disaster? Listen, the bottom line is, WrestleMania is the WWE's big event every year, right? It's the thing that they used to promote. It's the thing that they realize, oh, we always sell out or whatever, and it's not sold out yet. I don't know why it's not sold out. Number one, because they're in the biggest venue ever, right? In Texas, a giant venue, and it has more seats than they've done before. Number two, because their program sucks. Right now, everything that WWE is pushing sucks. Roman Reigns versus Triple H. No one cares about this. And that's the main event of WrestleMania for the title. So if you don't care about the main event, you probably don't care about WrestleMania. Shane versus The Undertaker. I already gave my opinion on that in this episode of Ask the King. Waste of time, in my opinion. I don't care about it. I don't think that too many, people who are up on the stuff going on in WWE care about it. It's more of the casual viewer might care that Shane's back, okay? And outside of that, what else do we know? We know there'll be a Divas title match. We don't know who it's between yet. And I'm sure there's going to be some other match. We know Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose, right? But what are you putting butts in seats with? When you haven't built up anyone in the company, you don't have the story of the underdog overcoming like you had with Daniel Bryan. You don't have your big superhero Cena coming back for a main event match this year. There's literally no reason to even watch the fucking Undertaker match this year. So it's like everything that they would use to build up hype for WrestleMania isn't happening this year. So am I surprised? No. I wouldn't be surprised if you find pay-per-view buy rates are low. Of course, with the network, obviously that's going to happen anyway. But I mean, overall, you're going to see less people watching WrestleMania and less people are going to be paying attention until something of significance happens and they build up someone legitimate from inside who they can then push and say, this is a great person. Right now, AJ is like the only person who has legitimacy because he just came to the company and only had one program. So now let's see what they do with him. Will they ruin him within 6 months and make him a fucking jobber? Probably, but hopefully not. Hopefully we have someone to root for in the next half year, but it certainly ain't going to happen at this WrestleMania. And so I hate to end on a low note, but WWE, they fucked everything up for themselves, and now they got to find a way out of it, out of the hole, right? We'll see what happens. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the super long episode of Ask the King. I hope you enjoyed it. 4-parter, ridiculous amount of questions, over 2 hours. Thank you for watching. I just want to remind everyone the next episode of Ask the King will be the end of April, probably around April 28th or so. Again, in the description of these videos, you can find the link. You can post up your questions right now, or if you want to have a guaranteed shot at getting your question answered, if you pledge $20 or more to my Patreon in the next month or two, because this will be for March and April, you'll get your question answered. All right? That is it, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show. I will see you in the end of April, where I will answer all of your questions once again. Thanks, you everyone. Peace out. See you later. And hopefully you enjoy all the stuff, the vlogging, the gameplay, the reviews and edited stuff that I put out. Until next time.